How you doing, guys? Professor EDC with another BLADE-OSOPHY Sunday, and oh yeah, what do we have on the table? Well, we got a taste of the past. Are knives still relevant in these modern times? Are these knives still relevant? Well, let's talk about it. My first reaction is, how could they not be relevant, right? Yet, we don't all think alike, right? You have to use your hands, I think. You'd have to be willing to cut yourself. You have to be willing to scratch your hands, to get them dirty, to scar them and rough them up. Otherwise, perhaps you might think about it. I guess it also has to do with how you live, your activities, the things that you like to do. If you're close to nature, the elements, perhaps hunting. If you're closer to the past, of course, standing in the present, but if you're closer to the past, then to modern times. Modernity employs less and less this type of tools. In an age of high-tech artificial intelligence and whatnot, touch screens and sterilized spaces and things, there seems to be no room for these ancient tools, which is a sad thing to see, and we see this more often than not. Still, this tool has been with us for such a long time. Great tools. And I think that each one of the knives that you see here, as well as many others, we would have to have the Buck 110 here, which I had at one time, and let go. But I do think that knives and folders are still relevant in modern times. As a matter of fact, I think that they're more relevant even now, because you develop skills that humans are losing by learning how to use a folder, learning how to use the proper way a knife. Is a rat still as relevant as it was before? Of course, I think so. We would have to talk about many things. We would have to talk about users, enthusiasts and collectors, and the difference amongst them, because there are differences. There's a different focus for each one of them on how to go about things, on how to go about knives. But this, as a user, may be the only knife you might need. This, as a user, might be the only knife you need for your whole life and pass down. Same as this GEC. These are tools that in many cases turn out to be heirlooms. How about this gunny? Of course, Bark River gunny. How about a puko? more of a traditional pucco. About a good all-arounder, LT. How about a very traditional condor, bush lore? Each one of these, I believe, tells us a different story, a different moment in time. But at the same time, they are timeless because we still use them. The American Lawman. Great knife. Great, tough knife or folder. We can say the same thing for all the folders, the knives that we got here. The Brad Southard Spyderco. What a design. What a performer this is. But things are changing up pretty quickly. The intentions, the objectives, the motivation of knife makers nowadays is not the same as it was before. Yeah, there are maybe things in common. And I'm talking about mostly production knives. But, of course, there are those new designers, new designs that are just the iKnife, like I have mentioned before, like the iPhone. I don't know if it's the 16 or the 26 or the 46 version that is out, but it's just marketing. And the same thing, we can say that about knives today. We see knives being spitted out every week. And are all those knives good? Yeah. Yeah, because companies have gotten better producing knives, treating steels. But at the same time, there were those who took the time to do things better. There were those who started a company with clear intentions, not just sales. There were those who had a specific utility in mind, and they developed something great. There were those, of course, that lived in a different time and made with their own hands tools that would save them from hunger, from harm, and whatnot. Nowadays, technology is taking over, and we got to be careful. And I believe as well that it's important to stick together and to talk about this. Because right now, it's a good moment for the knife world, but it may also pass, as everything does. And this great tool may one day just be in museums. And I hope I don't live to see that happen. But anyways, what do you guys think? Are these knives relevant? The Buck 110, which I already mentioned, the Opinel. I know a lot of people don't like the Opinel, but I love this artifact and how they came about developing this when they did. The Moraneve knives. So many things. History in our hands as well. So, I leave it up to you. Let me know in the comments what you think. Professor EDC out.